Right now, those protesters, because that extended curfew line and the boundary lines being moved, they decided to go out near Lake Cliff Park, and basically they are actively protesting and marching, walking on the sidewalk through an Oak Cliff neighborhood. This is their alternative to not violating the curfew. Earlier today, moments ago, after that 7 o'clock curfew started, once you take a look at video where the protesters moved to, they moved to Lake Cliff Park, and they were met by some police officers. The officers followed them from downtown Dallas and over here, but they remained peaceful. Now, earlier than that, before that time, they were at City Hall. Like we mentioned, protesters were at City Hall for a number of hours at City Hall, and basically they said, we're not going to get arrested like yesterday. It'll be totally different than yesterday. So they decided to leave when that curfew started. We talked to some protesters about why they wanted to still peacefully protest tonight.
You don't need to have a black friend or a black cousin or a black boyfriend or a black girlfriend or a spouse to care about us.
The best thing that we can do right now is to continue the cause, peacefully protesting so that we can be heard correctly. Because we're not going to get anywhere if we fall into that same stereotype that this country has been putting people of color since the beginning of their time here in this country.
Watch these divots.
Now, this is a polar opposite to yesterday. Now, protesters did continue to march, but yesterday they met at the courthouse and then proceeded to march across the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. That's when law enforcement stepped in and detained nearly 700 peaceful protesters because Chief Hall says they violated the law by marching on a bridge. Not what we're seeing tonight. The National Guard and DPS troopers assisting DPD in detaining all of those protesters. Chief Hall explained and stood by her decision to make those detainments.
And we supported that walk. When they began to enter the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, they were given a warning because it is against the law. The Penal Code 42.03, obstruction of a highway or passageway, says that they are not allowed. I made the decision to identify each and every one of them, file at-large charges, and release them.
How many VOs are after this?
Now, nearly 700 people were detained, and they were basically getting a charge, and they'll get a ticket. According to Chief Hall today, she says one person was actually arrested and taken to jail because they were illegally possessing a firearm. Now, I want you to take a look at live video from high above of Sky 4 as the peaceful protesters continue to march through this North Oak Cliff neighborhood. They have been peaceful. There's only been one little brush up with law enforcement, and so a lot going on right now. As you can see, they are peacefully marching. They have stayed on the sidewalk. They have not gotten in the streets. Police are in this area. They follow them across. Again, right now, they are not in trouble because they are outside of that boundary line, even though the curfew's at 7, even though it was extended by the city manager today. They crossed the Trinity River. They're here in this North Oak Cliff neighborhood, and they are protesting peacefully tonight. Steve.